I want to talk about bullying. Bullying is a social issue in USA, and I also comment about other social issues such as abortion, environmental racism, work and occupation. We focus on USA, and then later we come back to social problems in Africa. In the United States of America, bullying as a social problem includes significant physical, emotional, or psychological harm to the person on the receiving end. It is also to do with the inability of the bullied person to stop the bully on his or her own. Bullying in US is also seen as a power imbalance, a phenomenon where the bully retains the emotional, physical, or social influence than the recipient. Further, the bully may commit his or her heinous act repeatedly for a very long time. Characteristically, it affects young and old. Hence, the definition of bullying in America goes beyond traditional notions of bigger versus weak. Rather, it's a broad spectrum that covers a wide area. Now, these bullies are also here in Africa in a different way. Doesn't mean US is only used here to reflect the kind of bullies we have. Bullying can take at least 4 types. One, it can be verbal bullying, where bullies mock, verbally abuse, and shame their targets in all dimensions. Second, physical bullying sees bullies assaulting their victims physically, as in the case of killings of Trayvon Martin, Lakia Boyd, Eric Garner, and Michael Brown, among other African Americans. Such physical bullying ran to the birth of Black Lives Matter, BLM, Black Lives Matter, that began in 2013. In turn, Black Lives Matter is a decentralized political and social movement that seeks to highlight racism, racial inequality, and discrimination against the African Americans, and strives to promote anti-racism forms of bullies. Another form of bullying is the cyber bullying. Now, bullies use electronic media to target certain people or groups. It also takes place in form of instant messages, text messages, internet forums, smartphones, applications, email communications, and other social networks. The fourth form of bullying is a social-emotional one, a phenomenon where bullies initiate or spread harmful gossips or intentionally isolate their targets with an intent to harm them or destroy their social reputation or social standing. Now, this is character assassination noted earlier, and it is cut across not just the US, but also in other parts of the world, Africa inclusive. All we need is not to get a shock, cultural shock, or don't get surprised when you find some element of bullying somewhere, if you happen to travel in those areas. Now, what are the effects of bullying? What are the effects? Now, bullies often pick on people over and over again, and this can make teens feel very afraid, stressed, depressed, or anxious, or have thoughts about suicide or hurting themselves, have trouble with their schoolwork, have problems with mood, energy level, sleep, and appetite. We know of a case of a child who studied in America. He left, the Kenyan people went with him or in America, then he got into white only class, he was only black, they mocked him until he got depressed. Or he was about to leave schooling, then the parents took him to a counseling psychologist, and then they transferred him to another school much later. It wasted time. So bullies can hurt the career. It can hurt your life, whether you are an adult or a child. You are big or small, bullies can hurt your life and destroy it completely. Now, what kind of people are bullies? What kind of people are bullies? Both guys, boys and girls, can be bullies. Bullies may be outgoing and aggressive. That is, this kind of bully might make fun of you to your face or physically hurt you. Yeah, I tell you, you live in the forest, you are monkeys of Africa, you live with the monkeys or snakes or anything. We live in the cities. You live. That kind of bullies can hurt somebody who is not exposed. You are dirty, you are not clever. The fellows who are telling you are not clever, they themselves are not clever, but they want to create an impression they are very clever. They know they are healthy. You are not healthy, they are healthy. You know, that kind of thing is to make a weak person, get out of the picture, get out of the system, clear the way for them. So these are the kind of bullies that you find. They are also quite sneaky. They are also quiet and sneaky. Quiet sometimes, the bullies. Their characteristics. This kind of bully might try to manipulate things in secret, sometimes sending people with the destructive information from beneath. They might anonymously start a damaging rumor just to see what happens. Number 3, bullies may be friendly but fake. You know, fake friends? A friend who is there to play around with your psychology. This kind of bully might pretend to be your friend so that you tell them things, you pour everything, cover everything, but then they do hurtful things behind your back. Yeah, they pierce you from behind, but they try to look good. Those are bullies. The question is getting cautious about such people. Now, many bullies are a lot alike. They like to be in control of others. They are focused on themselves, selfish. They have poor social skills and have a hard time getting along with people. They might not care about people or lack empathy. And you can see they are often insecure and bully others to make themselves feel better. So to them, their psychology is bully as many people as possible, mock them, make them feel useless, and so that you can in turn feel useful after disorganizing their psychology or their social standing. That's how particularly the weak ones do in order to get space. They feel it's taken by so and so. So they fight hand through bullying. So how should we respond to these bullies? So many ways we shall use our respective professional dexterity to solve the problem of bully people, of those bullies. Yeah, you can't solve it in the same way. There's avoidance, there's sometimes not letting yourself out very quickly, or after being sensitive enough, once you realize they are bullies, you can even block them. Like sometimes, because they can block you through phones, through emails, through social media, through TikTok. Yes, you can block them or something, or avoid them, or avoid confrontation with them, because they could be smarter than you in bullying. Yes, all those depends on the context you are in. Now, the final social problems I'm talking about here is the abortion debate. It's a look American social issue, but it is cut across because of the American influence in the rest of the world. It is also our challenge. Let me move quickly and say that the abortion debate is an ongoing controversy surrounding the moral, legal, and religious status of induced abortion. In English-speaking countries, the signs involved in the debates are the self-described pro-choice and pro-life movements. Now, pro-choice emphasizes the woman's choice of whether to terminate a fetus, call it pregnancy, or not. There is also pro-life group who proposes the right of the embryo or fetus to gestate, to term, and be born. So both terms are considered lauded in mainstream media, where terms such as abortion rights, anti-abortion are generally preferred. Now, each movement has, with varying results, sought to influence public opinion and to attain legal support for its position. That's one. We may not have time to debate where we stand in these things. When we finish here, we see whether we can react to some of them. The environmental racism. Environmental racism exists when a particular place or town is subject to problematic environmental practices due to the racial and class components of that space. In general, the place or town is inhabited by lower income and minority groups. Often, there is more pollution, factories, dumping, etc., that produce environmental hazards and health risks, which are not seen in more affluent cities, such as those in Bangladesh. There is work and occupations. Now, the comment. Yes. Work and occupations. Social problems in the workplace include occupational stress, theft, sexual harassment, wage inequality, gender inequality, racial inequality, health care disparities, and many more. In addition, common workplace issues that employees face include interpersonal conflict, communication problems, like gossiping, bullying, we have talked about it, harassment, discrimination, role motivation, and job satisfaction, and performance issues. Now, in concluding this section, let me say that there are many social problems that are evident in education sector, lack of literacy in particular, and numeracy, corruption, school truancy, violence and bullying in schools, religious intolerance, immigration, political and religious extremism, discrimination of all sorts, the role of women, aging populations, gender issues, sexual orientations, unplanned parenthood, teenage pregnancy, child labor, war, inflation, wage inequality, and many more. Those are some of the issues we may want to, that ought to trigger your mind so that we can now analyze these social issues in the African context. Thank you.